The warning agenoid. Ambassador Kellner's slender form trembled slightly as he stood before the Grand Council of the Zephyrian Alliance. His iridescent skin, normally a calm blue, pulsed with anxious purple hues. The 7 high counselors regarded him with expressions ranging from boredom to mild irritation. They had heard countless reports about newly discovered species, and this was simply one more in an endless procession. Esteemed counselors, Kellner began, his translator device converting his melodic language into the standard galactic tongue. Our deep space reconnaissance mission has discovered a species on a small blue planet in System 2371, locally known as Earth. These beings, who call themselves humans, appear primitive by our technological standards, but my analysis suggests they possess extraordinary potential that warrants immediate attention. High Counselor Dravik, whose species had ruled the Zephyrian Alliance for over 3 millennia, made a dismissive gesture with one of his 4 upper limbs. Ambassador Kellner, our records indicate these humans have barely managed interplanetary travel within their own solar system. They are centuries, if not millennia, away from becoming a spacefaring civilization of any significance. Kellner activated a holographic display. Images flickered in the center of the chamber. Humans building structures, fighting wars, creating art, and launching primitive spacecraft. With respect, High Counselor, it is not their current technological level that concerns me, but the unprecedented rate of their advancement. Observe their historical timeline. The hologram shifted to a chart showing human progress across various metrics. Most species take millennia to advance from basic tools to space travel. Humans accomplished this in mere centuries. Their adaptability and innovative capacity exceed anything in our records. High Counselor Vexus, the oldest among them, leaned forward slightly. Interesting, but hardly concerning. Many species show promising early development only to plateau or self-destruct before achieving galactic relevance. There's more, Kellner insisted. Unlike most species who specialize their development along predictable paths, humans advance simultaneously across multiple domains: technology, social organization, artistic expression, warfare. And they show remarkable resilience. Observe their response to catastrophic events. The hologram displayed scenes of human cities devastated by natural disasters, then rebuilt, often stronger than before. They don't surrender to adversity. They learn from it, adapt, and overcome. Moreover, their fiction, the stories they tell themselves, consistently imagines threats from beyond their world. They are psychologically primed to consider the existence of advanced alien civilizations, and many of these fictional scenarios involve successfully resisting or defeating such civilizations. High Counselor Telsai laughed, a rasping sound that echoed through the chamber. They imagine defeating beings like us in their primitive entertainment. How charmingly audacious. Kellner's skin flushed a deeper purple. High Counselors, I believe we should establish diplomatic contact before proceeding with standard cataloging and potential resource assessment. These humans may respond unpredictably to our traditional approach. Dravik's patience was clearly wearing thin. Ambassador, the Zephyrian Alliance has incorporated over 5,000 worlds into our domain. Our protocols have proven effective across diverse species with various psychological and biological profiles. These humans will be no different. I strongly advise reconsideration, Kellner persisted. At minimum, I request authorization for an extended observation period before any contact is initiated. Dravik exchanged glances with the other counselors. Very well. We will authorize an extended observation mission. Admiral Zenter will oversee a small fleet to monitor this Earth more closely. However, our expansion plans for that sector will proceed on schedule. The resource surveys indicate several valuable deposits on the 3rd and 4th planets of that system. Kellner bowed in acknowledgement, knowing this was the most he could hope for. As he left the council chamber, Admiral Zenter approached him in the corridor. You truly believe these humans are special, don't you? Zenter asked, her voice lower and more serious than it had been in the council room. I do, Kellner replied. There's something about them that doesn't fit our models. They shouldn't have advanced so quickly with their biological limitations and fractious social structures. Yet they have. It's as if adversity fuels their progress rather than impeding it. Zenter studied him for a moment. I'll take your concerns seriously during the observation mission, but don't expect more than that. The Alliance has encountered thousands of species, and none have truly challenged our technological supremacy in over 1,000 cycles. Thank you, Admiral. I hope I'm wrong. But Kellner wasn't wrong, and deep down, he knew it. Admiral Zenter's observation fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system 3 months later. They established a hidden base on a small frozen world far beyond the orbit of the local gas giants. From this position, they deployed automated probes and long-range sensors to study the blue planet and its inhabitants. Report, Zenter commanded as she entered the command center of the base after the first standard month of observation. Science Officer Lurax activated a holographic display. Humans continue to demonstrate remarkable adaptability. Admiral, their technological progress has accelerated even in the brief period we've been observing them. They've launched new orbital habitats, improved their propulsion systems, and developed more sophisticated communication networks. Any indication they've detected our presence? Centaur asked. None so far. Their detection capabilities remain limited to their immediate solar system. However, Lyrax hesitated. Continue, Science Officer. They appear to be developing more sensitive astronomical instruments. Their next generation of space telescopes may be capable of detecting our energy signatures if we're not careful. Zenter nodded. Adjust our cloaking protocols accordingly. What else? Their social dynamics remain fascinating. Despite functioning as separate nation-states, they demonstrate remarkable global cooperation in certain domains: scientific research, disaster response, and increasingly, space exploration. It's as if they instinctively know when to set aside their differences. Security Officer Drek, who had been silently observing, spoke up. Their military technologies also continue to advance. They've developed more precise targeting systems, more efficient energy weapons, and increasingly sophisticated cyber warfare capabilities. They're still far behind our standards, but the rate of advancement is noteworthy. Zenter considered this information. Recommendations. I believe Ambassador Kellner's concerns merit serious consideration. Lyrax said, these humans show unusual potential. Standard contact protocols may indeed provoke an unpredictable response. Drek disagreed. Their military capabilities, while advancing quickly, remain primitive compared to ours. They have no defense against our orbital weapons, and their planetary defenses could be neutralized within hours. I see no reason to delay the resource acquisition schedule. Zenter was about to respond when an alert sounded through the command center. Admiral, a technician called out. We're detecting unusual radiation patterns from Earth. They appear to be deliberately scanning this sector of space. Impossible, Drek said. Their technology shouldn't be capable of detecting us at this distance. It's not detection in the conventional sense, Lyrax explained, studying the incoming data. They're using a new type of gravitational wave detector. It's ingenious, actually. Rather than looking for our ships directly, they're looking for subtle distortions in spacetime caused by our mass and energy signatures. Have they pinpointed our location? Zenter asked sharply. Not precisely, but they've narrowed it down to this general region. They know something is here. Zentar's expression darkened. How? How did they develop this capability so quickly? Our intelligence indicated they were at least a decade away from this level of gravitational sensing technology. Lyrax looked troubled. I can only theorize that our presence itself might have accelerated their development. Perhaps they detected some anomaly in their earlier observations that prompted them to focus research in this direction. Adapt to our presence without even confirming it. Drek scoffed. That's absurd. Is it? Lyrax challenged. We've observed their scientific method. They form hypotheses based on limited data, then develop experiments to test those hypotheses. If they detected even the slightest anomaly in this region of space, they would investigate. Zenter made a quick decision. Inform the High Council. We need to accelerate our timeline. If the humans are already detecting our presence, we cannot risk them advancing further before we establish control. Admiral. Lyrax protested. This development only confirms Ambassador Kelnar's warnings. A direct approach could provoke. I'm aware of the risks, Science Officer, Zenter interrupted. But I also know the Council's priorities. They will not delay resource acquisition based on theoretical concerns about a primitive species potential. We will proceed with contact, but with enhanced security protocols. Within days, the High Council authorized an expedited contact mission. Despite Kelnar's renewed protests, a diplomatic vessel was dispatched to Earth, accompanied by a small but formidable security fleet. The Alliance's standard protocol for new species contact would proceed. On Earth, scientists at the Global Space Observation Network were puzzled by the sudden disappearance of the gravitational anomalies they had been tracking. It's gone, Dr. Eleanor Chen announced to her colleagues at the emergency meeting of the International Astronomical Union. The distortion we've been monitoring for the past 3 months has simply vanished. Equipment malfunction, suggested her colleague, Dr. Ramesh Patel. Unlikely. Multiple observatories confirmed the readings. Whatever was causing those gravitational ripples has either moved or is now masking its presence. General William Torres of the United Earth Defense Force leaned forward. So you're telling me that something, possibly artificial, was lurking at the edge of our solar system, and now it's gone dark just as we were getting close to pinpointing its location. That's correct, General, Dr. Chen confirmed. And given the energy requirements to create such distortions, we're not talking about a natural phenomenon. The General's expression hardened. I've seen enough science fiction to know this isn't how first contact should begin. We need to prepare for all contingencies. Surely you don't think? Dr. Patel began. I think, the General interrupted, that anything intelligent enough to reach our solar system and sophisticated enough to hide its presence might not have our best interests at heart. I'm activating Defense Protocol Omega. All space-based assets go to heightened alert. We need to be ready. 3 days later, humanity received its answer when multiple vessels of clearly alien design appeared in Earth orbit without warning. The largest positioned itself above the United Nations headquarters in New York. Admiral Zenter stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel, observing the blue planet below. Open a communication channel using their predominant broadcast frequencies. Transmit the standard greeting package. Within minutes, screens around the world displayed the translated message. People of Earth, we are representatives of the Zephyrian Alliance, an advanced galactic civilization. We have observed your world and determined it is time to establish formal contact. Your planet and system contain resources valuable to our alliance. We offer you the opportunity to join our civilization as a protected territory. You will benefit from our advanced technology, medical knowledge, and protection. In exchange, we will establish resource extraction operations on your planet and throughout your system. Your cooperation will ensure a peaceful transition. Resistance would be unfortunate and ultimately futile given our technological superiority. We await your response within 1 standard planetary rotation. In the United Nations Security Council emergency session, representatives from Earth's nations gathered to formulate a response. They're not even trying to disguise this as anything but a resource grab, the representative from Nigeria stated angrily. With a thin veneer of join our civilization propaganda, added the representative from Brazil. The Secretary General raised his hands for calm. We need to respond carefully. Their technology is clearly far beyond ours. A direct confrontation would be disastrous. General Torres, who had been invited to the session, spoke up. We need time. Our initial analysis of their ships indicates energy signatures unlike anything we've seen before. We need to gather more information before committing to any course of action. So we stall. the U.S. representative concluded. Diplomatically, the Secretary General agreed. We express interest in learning more about their civilization, request additional time to consider their proposal, and Meanwhile, General Torres continued, we prepare for all possibilities. The human response was transmitted to the Zephyrian fleet. Representatives of the Zephyrian Alliance, humanity greets you and welcomes this historic contact between our civilizations. We are eager to learn more about your alliance and its members. However, your proposal involves significant changes to our world and sovereignty. Our global governance requires time to fully consider such profound decisions. We request a meeting between our representatives to establish a framework for ongoing dialogue and mutual understanding. On her ship, Admiral Zenter received the response with a mixture of amusement and annoyance. Predictable. They're stalling while they assess their options. Should we grant their request? Her communications officer asked. Yes, but with limited parameters. A small delegation, minimal time, clear boundaries. And meanwhile, we begin preliminary survey operations in their outer system. Show them we're proceeding regardless of their decision. As Zephyrian ships began moving toward Mars and the asteroid belt, Earth's leadership watched with growing alarm. They're not waiting for our answer. General Torres observed as satellite imagery showed alien vessels approaching mining operations on Mars. They're already claiming territory in our system. Our people on Mars, the Secretary General began, are being evacuated as we speak, Torres confirmed. But this confirms their intentions. This isn't a diplomatic mission. It's an invasion with a diplomatic facade. What options do we have? Asked the Chinese representative. Torres' expression was grim. Militarily, very few. Their technology outclasses ours by centuries, maybe millennia. But humans have faced overwhelming odds before. We're going to need every advantage we can create. And quickly. As the human delegation prepared to meet with the Zephyrians, scientists and engineers around the world began working feverishly to understand the alien technology from the limited data they could gather. The first contact had begun, but not as either side had anticipated. The Risi-Keoning. The diplomatic meeting took place aboard the Zephyrian command ship. 5 human representatives, the UN Secretary General, and delegates from the United States, China, Russia, and the African Union were transported to Admiral Zenter's vessel. The humans did their best to hide their awe at the advanced technology surrounding them, but Zenter could see it in their expressions. Welcome, she greeted them in their language, her translator converting her words. I am Admiral Zenter, representing the High Council of the Zephyrian Alliance. We appreciate your willingness to discuss the integration of your world into our civilization. The Secretary General stepped forward. Admiral, we are here to establish understanding between our peoples, not to negotiate surrender. Earth is humanity's home, and we have the right to determine our own future. Zenter's upper limbs made a gesture of dismissal. Your assertion of rights is meaningless. Every species believes it has the right to self-determination until it encounters a more advanced civilization. This is the natural order of the galaxy. The Alliance has incorporated thousands of worlds. Some initially resisted, but all eventually accepted the benefits of joining a superior civilization. And if we decline your offer? The Chinese representative asked. That would be unfortunate, Zenter replied. We prefer peaceful integration, but we will proceed with resource acquisition regardless. The process is simply more efficient with cooperation. The meeting continued for several hours, with the humans attempting to establish terms for a more equal relationship, while Zenter patiently but firmly explained the reality of their situation. When the humans returned to Earth, they had gained little ground diplomatically, but they had learned much about their visitors. They're arrogant, General Torres observed after reviewing the meeting recordings. They conquered so many worlds that they can't conceive of failure. Can you blame them? Dr. Chen asked. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. Technology isn't everything, Torres replied. History is full of technologically superior forces defeated by more determined, adaptive opponents. We need to buy time and learn. Every piece of information we gather is a potential advantage. While the diplomatic exchanges continued, Zephyrian mining operations expanded throughout the solar system. Human outposts on Mars and the Moon were given the choice to evacuate or accept Zephyrian authority. Most chose to evacuate, but a few remained, officially as cooperative liaisons, unofficially as observation posts. These observers provided crucial data. Dr. Amit Sharma, who remained at the Lunar Research Station, managed to capture detailed scans of Zephyrian mining equipment. Their energy generation technology is fascinating, he reported back to Earth. It appears to utilize a form of zero-point energy extraction we've only theorized about. But there's something else. Their systems are remarkably standardized. Once you understand the basic architecture, many of their technologies follow similar patterns. Similar reports came from other outposts. The Zephyrians, accustomed to dealing with species far below their technological level, took few precautions to hide their methods. They didn't expect humans to understand, let alone replicate, their advanced systems. This was their first critical mistake. 3 months after first contact, the High Council grew impatient with the continuing diplomatic delays. Admiral Zentar, High Counselor Dravik communicated, "These prolonged negotiations are unnecessary. Begin the next phase of integration. Establish control centers on the planet's surface. The humans will accept our authority when faced with its physical manifestation." Zentar acknowledged the order, though not without reservations. Ambassador Kellner's warnings still lingered in her mind, and she had observed enough of human behavior to develop her own concerns. Nonetheless, she deployed landing craft to establish Zephyrian outposts in strategic locations around Earth. The response was immediate. As Zephyrian ships descended toward New York, Beijing, Moscow, and other major cities, they encountered unexpected resistance. Earth's militaries launched everything in their arsenal: missiles, energy weapons reverse-engineered from observed Zephyrian technology, and swarms of autonomous drones. The attacks barely damaged the Zephyrian vessels, but they were more effective than Zentar had anticipated. Several landing craft were forced to abort their approach. "They've adapted some of our basic weapons technology," Security Officer Drek reported, unable to hide his surprise. "Crude implementations, but the underlying principles are correct." "How?" Zentar demanded. "We've been careful not to reveal our weapon systems." Science Officer Lirax looked uncomfortable. "The observation teams report that humans at our mining operations have been studying our technology more carefully than we realized. They appear to have reverse-engineered certain principles from simple observation." Zentar's expression darkened. "Increase security protocols at all operations, and prepare the defense systems. If they want to experience our military capability firsthand, we will oblige them." The Zephyrian response was overwhelming. Precision strikes neutralize Earth's major military installations within hours. The demonstration of power was meant to end resistance quickly and decisively. But again, humanity defied expectations. Instead of surrendering, Earth's nations united as never before. Military leaders went underground, dispersing their remaining forces and adopting guerrilla tactics. Scientists worked around the clock, studying every piece of Zephyrian technology they could access. Engineers repurposed existing infrastructure for defense and counterattack. Most surprisingly to the Zephyrians, humans willingly sacrificed short-term comfort and safety for long-term resistance. When Zentar ordered power grids disabled to force compliance, communities developed local alternatives. When communication networks were jammed, humans created new, decentralized systems the Zephyrians couldn't easily track or disrupt. 6 months into the occupation, Zentar faced a challenging reality. Controlling Earth was requiring far more resources than anticipated, and human resistance was growing more sophisticated, not less. "This is unprecedented," she admitted during a secure conference with the High Council. "Their adaptation rate exceeds anything in our records. They're learning to counter technologies that took our civilization centuries to develop. High Counselor Dravik was unmoved. Your report suggests their resistance remains ineffective at preventing our resource extraction. For now, Zenter acknowledged, but they're targeting our supply lines and communication systems with increasing success. They're learning, adapting, and evolving their tactics faster than we can counter them. Then accelerate the extraction timeline, Dravik ordered. Strip the planet of valuable resources quickly and withdraw. If these humans are becoming troublesome, we'll leave them with a depleted world. But even this strategy proved difficult to implement. Zephyrian mining operations found themselves under constant attack. The humans had developed techniques to disrupt the extraction equipment through methods that seemed primitive but were surprisingly effective, like introducing specific resonance frequencies that caused mechanical failures or deploying engineered microorganisms that degraded certain materials. Meanwhile, Dr. Eleanor Chen made a breakthrough in her hidden laboratory beneath the ruins of Cambridge University. "We've cracked their propulsion system," she announced to the gathered resistance leaders. "Not enough to replicate it fully, but enough to disrupt it. Their faster-than-light drive relies on manipulating subspace in a way that's actually quite vulnerable to specific quantum disturbances." "Can we weaponize this?" General Torres asked. "We already have," Dr. Chen replied, revealing a small device. "This quantum disruptor will prevent any Zephyrian ship within range from activating their FTL drive. They'll be stuck in normal space." This development marked a turning point. When the first Zephyrian supply ships found themselves unable to return to Alliance space, Admiral Zenter realized the situation had fundamentally changed. "They've weaponized their understanding of our technology," she told her officers. "Not by replicating it, but by finding its vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities we never needed to address because no species has ever advanced quickly enough to exploit them." "We should withdraw temporarily," Lurax suggested. "Regroup and return with more appropriate countermeasures." "The Council would never authorize withdrawal," Drek argued. "It would be seen as a defeat, encouraging resistance on other worlds." Zenter faced a command crisis unlike any in her career. The standard protocols that had served the Alliance for millennia were failing in the face of human adaptability and determination. Her decision was made for her when human forces launched a coordinated global offensive. Using reverse-engineered weapons, quantum disruptors, and sheer numbers, they targeted Zephyrian outposts simultaneously across the planet. The attacks weren't always successful, but they demonstrated a level of coordination and technological adaptation that shocked the Zephyrian command. "We need reinforcements," Zenter reported to the High Council. "The humans have developed countermeasures to our basic systems far more quickly than our models predicted possible." The Council, finally grasping the seriousness of the situation, authorized a full military response. A massive Zephyrian battle fleet was dispatched to Earth with orders to crush all resistance and secure the resource-rich planet once and for all. But here, the limitations of faster-than-light travel worked against them. It would take 3 months for the reinforcements to arrive, 3 months during which humanity continued to learn, adapt, and prepare. When the Zephyrian battle fleet arrived, they found a solar system transformed. Human ships, hybrid vessels combining Earth technology with reverse-engineered Zephyrian systems, patrolled the space around their planet. Defensive installations on the Moon, Mars, and throughout the asteroid belt formed a multi-layered defense network. Fleet Commander Vax, leading the reinforcement armada, was stunned. "This is impossible," he stated as his sensors showed the extent of human preparation. "No species could advance this quickly." The battle that followed was unlike any in the Alliance's long history. The Zephyrian forces still held significant technological advantages, but the humans fought with unexpected strategies and weapons specifically designed to exploit Zephyrian vulnerabilities. When a third of his fleet had been disabled by quantum disruptors and targeted system failures, Commander Vax made an unprecedented decision. He opened a direct communication channel to the human forces. "People of Earth, He transmitted, "This conflict has demonstrated capabilities our alliance did not anticipate. I propose a ceasefire to discuss terms that might be mutually beneficial." On the bridge of the Earth flagship UES Defiance, General Torres received the message with grim satisfaction. They're finally ready to negotiate, not as conquerors, but as equals. The ceasefire talks took place on neutral ground, a space station positioned between Earth and lunar orbit. Admiral Zentar and Commander Vax represented the Zephyrian Alliance. General Torres and Dr. Chen led the human delegation. "Our analysts have revised their assessment of human potential," Zentar acknowledged. "Your species' ability to adapt and overcome technological disparities is unprecedented in our experience." "We've had plenty of practice," Torres replied. "Throughout our history, humans have faced overwhelming odds and found ways to survive. It's what we do." The negotiations were tense but productive. The resulting treaty established human sovereignty over their solar system, with provisions for limited resource sharing with the Alliance. More significantly, it included a knowledge exchange program, the first time in Alliance history that they had agreed to share advanced technology with a primitive species. Ambassador Kellner, whose warnings had been ignored, was invited to witness the treaty signing. "You were right about them," Admiral Zentar admitted. "I should have given your assessment more weight." "The Alliance has grown complacent," Kellner replied. "We've encountered so many predictable species that we forgot the galaxy can still surprise us. These humans, they don't accept limitations the way other species do. They see the impossible as merely a challenge waiting to be overcome." "Do you think they'll honor the treaty?" Zentar asked. Kellner watched as the human representatives discussed something animatedly among themselves. "Yes, but not because they fear us anymore. They'll honor it because they're already looking beyond us, to the stars and possibilities we never imagined. They don't want the Alliance as an enemy. They want the freedom to pursue their own unique path." As the treaty was formalized, news spread throughout the Alliance. For the first time, in over 1,000 years, the Zephyrians had encountered a species that refused to submit, that adapted quickly enough to challenge their technological superiority, and that ultimately forced them to negotiate as equals. On dozens of worlds under Alliance control, the news inspired hope and quiet resistance. The myth of Zephyrian invincibility had been broken, not by superior technology or overwhelming force, but by human tenacity, creativity, and an absolute refusal to accept defeat. 5 years later, human ships began exploring beyond their solar system, using hybrid technology that combines Zephyrian principles with uniquely human innovations. They established colonies, formed alliances with other species, and earned a reputation throughout the galaxy. Humans don't recognize impossible. They only see challenges waiting to be overcome. And the Zephyrian Alliance, for the first time in millennia, found itself adapting to accommodate a new power in the galaxy, one that had emerged not over thousands of years, but in a single unprecedented burst of determination and ingenuity that changed the cosmic order forever. The High Council eventually revised its protocols for encountering new species. The first entry in their new assessment criteria became, "Does this species show human-like adaptability? If yes, proceed with extreme caution and respectful diplomacy." It was, perhaps, the highest compliment the ancient civilization could pay to the upstarts from Earth who had taught them that the impossible was merely a matter of perspective.